This is Father Gary Cato with Project SOS, and I'm very proud to sponsor this episode of Salute. We hope you enjoy it.
Hi, I'm Bob Peters, host of Central Florida Salute YouTube, and I'm here at Okahumpka at our home base at Eagles 4273, and I have Lieutenant John O'Kelly, United States Navy, retired, and I want to welcome you to the show, sir.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Would you tell me a little bit about yourself? Where were you originally from?
Well, yes, I came from a place real close by, Leesburg, Florida. My dad delivered me in 1942 because the other doctor couldn't make it in time. My dad was a doctor, so I was delivered in a parking lot just off of Main Street in Leesburg near Euclid Avenue.
That's interesting.
Yes.
You went to school here, I gather?
Sure. Yeah, I spent my entire childhood here in Leesburg with Lee Elementary and then on to Leesburg High School, and was active in school, doing a few things like swimming and basketball and watching the girls cheer and all that type of thing. So.
Great. So, but right after high school, is that when you decided to go into the Navy?
No, I went to Florida State University for 4 years and have a degree in hotel and restaurant management.
Okay. Now I see how it all
Setting
comes
the
together.
groundwork for my Navy time. So while I was in college, though, I had to go into ROTC, which is either Army or Air Force. So I went into Air Force ROTC for a semester. Decided I wanted to go into the Navy, so I joined the Navy Reserve as a reservist in 1962. And then in summers of 64 and 5, I went to Officers Candidate School through a program called ROC, or Reserve Officer Candidate. And then upon graduation from Florida State, I got a commission as an ensign in the Navy in Tallahassee, Florida.
I was looking at your bio here, and Florida State University. Tell me about that circus thing that you...
Oh, the circus. That was an interesting part of my life. Florida State University has the only collegiate circus in the country. And it was begun in 1947. Was just, you take it as, at that time, as a phys ed course if you wanted to, because you had to have at least 1 or 2 phys ed courses in college. So I did so, and then after that was done, I decided to stay in and continue with the circus with a non-credit, and was lucky enough to have an act that was good enough to go to a tour of Europe with CBS Sports Spectacular.
Sports Spectacular presents, from the campus of Florida State University, the Circus Goes to College. This circus tent is unlike any other circus tent in the world. At first glance, it looks like a real circus tent, and it is. It has 3 rings, a tambark floor, and all the riggings necessary for putting on the greatest show on earth. It's big, colorful, and exciting. Its uniqueness lies in the fact that it was put up and is maintained entirely by college students. And it sits smack dab in the middle of the campus of Florida State University in Tallahassee.
First of all, I'd like to introduce the founder of the Florida State University Circus, the gentleman this complex is named after, Mr. Jack Haskin. Coach?
Jack Haskins was brought down here to develop an activity for the co-ed institution that was formalized in '47.
We need something that we can use as an activity, both girls and boys in it, that will kind of gel and start the thing off right here, because we're going to hit that place just at the time that the boys are coming in on campus for the first time.
In 1964. That same summer, as soon as I got back from that, I had to go to the ROC program at the Navy. So all the timing worked out just right.
What is the ROC?
ROC, that's Reserve Officer Candidate.
Oh, okay.
That's the Navy's program at Newport.
I wasn't enlisted, man. I wouldn't know anything about it.
Well, I was enlisted all the way through college and was a seaman, and then after I got my commission, I was an ensign.
You have quite a family history there. Members in your family that served in the service.
Well, I do have some interesting family members. My great-grandfather, Dr. Walter J. Hoffman, served with General Custer in the late 1800s. And later, he was not fortunately with him at the time of the big battle in which many of his men were killed.
Where all the Indians in the world came down on him.
Yes, yes. And
I remember that show.
so later on, he was assigned to be Consulate General of the country of Prussia. That was until his death in 1897. And then my uncle, Nathaniel O'Kelly, my dad's brother, was an attorney out of Jacksonville, and he went into the Navy in World War II as an intelligence officer, and I don't have a lot of information on his history there other than he was in South America and he was captured by the German Nazis and became perhaps a POW, or was just tortured and released or escaped. I don't know. We never got the story. Unfortunately, he, for the remainder of his life, he did have a productive career as an attorney, but had episodes of just severe PTSD. And my brother was in the Coast Guard. My son-in-law spent 20 years in the Air Force as a pilot, served in various of the areas of combat in the Middle East. And he is now retired and still an instructor at the Air Force Academy.
Wow. A lot of history there, huh?
Yeah.
I know later on you're going to tell me about some of your schoolmates and everything, but you're coming now, you're into basic, you were where? San Diego, is that what it?
Well, my basic training as an enlisted man was in San Diego while I was still in college, but my officer's candidate training was in Newport, Rhode Island.
Mm-hmm. So when you got through with the training, where did you go?
When I went on active duty, or?
Yeah, when you went active duty, where did you
Oh,
go?
okay. Well, my first assignment was to go to mess management school in Pax River Naval Air Station in Maryland, and that was to train for operating clubs, Navy clubs, and that's what it was. Only 4 weeks, and then I got my first assignment to be the BOQ officer, which is Bachelor Officers Quarters. We had food service and beverage service and food service for officers at Port Hueneme, California Construction Battalion Center at the CB base, where they train the CBs the officers had the school there, the enlisted have school there. They train them how to do heavy equipment operation, everything to do with construction. That's a school for there. So I was there for about a year and a half. And that was my job to manage the BOQ office there, the facilities for the officers.
But you did travel a lot in the Navy, did you not?
I traveled a little bit, various schools. I went to Military Justice School in San Diego. I attended survival school, which is a requirement before you go to Vietnam, with the Marine Corps, and that was in California. I had opportunities to travel when my next assignment was the Naval Support Activity, Da Nang, Vietnam. That was in December of 1967, and I was there for a year until late December of '68.
Yeah, the R&R centers basically is what you were at, rest or recuperation, or
well,
what did they call those? Because there's one very famous club or whatever, however you want to refer to it, that some people know about. It's called China Beach.
China Beach.
Yeah.
That is correct, and that's exactly where we worked and had our headquarters office in China Beach. The TV series a number of years ago was based on China Beach, not necessarily our operation, but it was at a hospital there, which we have a naval hospital there, which we had an officers club there. My job in Vietnam in Naval Support Activity was in the Navy clubs and messes, and there were about 8 officers, about 100 enlisted, and about 300 civilians. We operated 24 clubs throughout I Corps. So we traveled, we had to oversee all that, we had to provide for all the food service, beverages, entertainment. We had a club at China Beach, is where you were referring to, an officers club and an enlisted club. And we would regularly bring in entertainment from various parts of the world to entertain the troops when they had an opportunity to come out of combat or from where they were for in-country R&R, rest and recreation. And they had 3-day tours of doing that. And there was surfing there, there was sailboats there, there was swimming there. It was a good break for the guys and women who were in the field for in-country R&R. And we operated that facility along with the special services did part of that as well.
Yeah. Did you, the entertainment, do you remember some of the entertainment you brought in? Was there a guy named Hope?
Well, Bob Hope did come. Now, he was brought over by the USO. We didn't have anything to do with him, but he was there several times. We hired, I don't know, one of the men in our group did the entertainment securing, and they came from various countries, and they weren't big name entertainers, but there were, a whole bunch of them that would come almost every night to one of our clubs.
Yeah, I was in the Air Force, and we had our own on base, and
yeah.
I got to see Freddie and the Dreamers, and
yeah. No, we didn't have any big name people there.
Well, see, that's the Air Force.
But our clubs were for all branches of the service, so we were able to serve the Army, of course, all the military branches, and it was amazing. We could be in a club and off China Beach, here comes a Huey helicopter coming in behind the club, landing down. These guys had just come out of combat, walking in the club, getting a beer. So that's our purpose, was to support those guys. In our particular division, which clubs and messes, but there are many other divisions in the naval support activity. It was a huge command, and its responsibility was to support the Marine Corps 3rd Marine Amphibious Force. And our contingent naval support activity composed of about 10,000 personnel. And we had a port there. We were bringing in all the logistical supplies needed for the Marines. Now, my job was only a small part of that, or our division was just the clubs and messes part of that.
Yeah, it's a team effort.
Yeah, it is.
Team effort.
It is.
So, you, how long did you spend in Vietnam?
I was there a year.
A year? Mm-hmm. Where did you go back to the States, or you stay much after?
I came back to the States. I had about 3 months left on my commitment with the Navy, and I was sent to the Naval Training Center in Orlando, because it was apparently convenient for me and the Navy for me to be there. So I spent the last 3 months there as Assistant Shore Patrol Officer, which I knew nothing about, but that was what I was titled in it. They said, come in when you want to. If you don't come in, it's okay. So that's what I did.
Well, that was a good job.
Yeah. No, I had to go in every day and report, but they, okay, you can go home, O'Kelly.
But you had several years you were in the service, right?
3 years of active, and I had almost 5 years of reserve time. So yeah, I was really one of the lucky ones going in as a junior officer, because I had 4 years of longevity for pay purposes. So instead of making $400 a month, I made $500 a month.
Yeah,
so I was
you
really
got
good.
Promoted because of your prior schooling and everything, right? I mean, you were a lieutenant. Lieutenant in 3 years is kind of. Well,
yeah, I made
you
lieutenant.
must have come in as an officer, no?
Well, when it was just 3 years. I was promoted prior to the full 3 years. Yeah, yeah. It was. I don't. That's not that. That was not that unusual at that time, though. I don't think.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything special about it.
Yeah.
But I was lucky to make 03.
You had a picture here that.
Oh.
I want to show this picture because you.
Yeah. Okay.
Recognize that?
Yes, I do. That's a picture of most of our officers in the clubs and messes in 1967, 68, and the backside is those same guys plus one more or two that we had a reunion in 2018 in Washington, D.C., and it was an amazing opportunity to see guys I hadn't seen in 50 years. It's a 50-year reunion, so it was
You guys haven't changed a bit.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm sure you haven't either, right?
No, I just put on 100 pounds more. That's all. You know.
I have to look at him and say, "Are you really the same guy?" Well, they probably said the same thing to me too.
Yeah. Well, we all change. We all change. You brought something else here that's kind of interesting. You want to talk?
That's what's called a short timers calendar. A lot of the military personnel in Vietnam were counting the days until they could go home. Most of the guys that I was serving with, we had almost set number of days. It was a year assignment typically. You really didn't know the exact day, but then somewhere along the line, when you were probably a month away from getting out, they'd give you the date. So you had the calendar, and you would color in the box of the number of days left. And this was just a nice young lady that was apparently somebody developed to use for the calendar. And the last day was, I guess, a key date on the calendar location.
Yeah. But people all had whatever branch of service, they all had a countdown. Yeah.
Do you have the calendar?
So the day we get back to the real world.
The short timers calendar.
Yeah, the real world.
Yeah.
And I was talking to you before, and you keep in touch with some of your old high school friends and that served in the military.
Yeah.
And you wanted to mention a couple of them. One of them is a gentleman who's no longer with us.
That's right. I'd really like to let people know about my high school classmate 1 year behind me, J.L. LaRue. J.L. was a mischievous young man in high school and well-liked and just kind of sometimes in trouble, sometimes not, but very friendly and likable. And I had lost track of J.L. after I went off to college. Found out later this information about him. J.L. went on to finish college at Florida Southern, and then went on to get a commission in the Marine Corps. He became a helicopter pilot, and he spent over 20 years of active duty and retired as a full colonel. Now, what's amazing to me is I never knew about this until just a few years ago. J.L. served in Vietnam and received not one but 2 Distinguished Flying Crosses. This is one of the highest combat awards you can get. His job was, he flew in twice on 2 different occasions, about a month apart in 1968, May of 1968. At one time he rescued from a real hostile combat activity going on with, the aircraft he was flying was a helicopter transport type, to evacuate men, and he rescued I think it was 7 or 8 men while under heavy fire. He survived, everybody survived, so he received the cross there, and about a month later he did a similar mission. And this time, or one of the other ones, one of them was he was rescuing Australian military people, one was American military people. So then he went on and had a great career in the Marine Corps and was part of called the Purple Foxes, which is group. I'm not familiar with it, but it's an organization of military officers probably who flew in Vietnam.
There's an organization in the villages called the Distinguished Members of the Distinguished Flying Cross. I don't know if you ever heard of them.
No.
Joe Finch was on my show. He was one of those helicopter pilots like you're talking about.
Yeah.
And it's quite a distinguished group. I'm thinking of bringing them up here to the Eagles so people can meet them. And
there was another couple I wanted to mention about Leesburg boys.
Absolutely.
Father Larson has a son named Dan Larson. He was my Episcopal priest in high school. Dan's 3 years ahead of me in high school, or 2. Dan did a career in the Army, retired as a colonel, and he also was a Vietnam veteran, receiving the Silver Star for his heroic activities in Vietnam. He's now retired. He later became an Episcopal priest, and I'm hoping his relatives, sisters-in-law, still live near me, and we're seeing him occasionally over the years. And hopefully, Colonel Keith Oliver will do an article on him in the Daily Commercial News.
Better yet, he can come on Central Florida.
If he can come down at a convenient time, then there's another friend of mine who lives 2 doors from me, Don Gregory, served a career in the Army and retired as a major, and then served, I think, 20-plus years with the Lake County Sheriff Department. He's a Bronze Star recipient in Vietnam as well. There's some other ones. Who are they? Oh, I know. This is World War II. Buford Robinson was a principal at Leesburg High School. He was one of my teachers when I was in the 8th grade. At our 40th class reunion, he came, and he said, and I was the MC at that time. I was the vice president of our class. Anyway, I asked everybody to stand up who were military to be recognized. He didn't stand up, and he came up to me afterwards, and I'm 6'2" at the time. He's about much shorter. He says, "Johnny, did you mean World War II veterans?" I said, "Yes, of course, Mr. Robinson." Then he came on to tell me, "Well, you know, I was a bomber navigator when I flew over Burma in World War II." My eyes just, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? This is a guy I didn't even like in high school because he was a teacher, but I liked him a lot now. And so he said, "Would you like to come to my house and see my war room in Mount Dora?" Which I did about 10 years or 12, whatever it was. And it was amazing. He had history. He lost his brother in South Africa, or in Africa in the campaign. He told me about all the things he did, and it's incredible. And again, he's one of the guys I'm trying to do an article on with Keith to get together. Then another gentleman who was a band director, I don't have enough time for this, a band director at Leesburg High School, Roy Tallman, was a band director, kind of a timid, small guy. He later came to work for my partner and I in real estate as a real estate salesman in Leesburg. And we were out looking at a house one day, and something came up about military, and he says, "Well, you know, I was an Army Ranger." And I looked at him and said, "No, I didn't know that." And then he commenced to tell me about what he did. He was a Ranger, and he did espionage work. He stuck behind the German lines, and I'm just in amazement. Then I started thinking, how many of those men who were our teachers in high school were in World War II, and they never talked about it? And I know there are numerous ones, and I just wish I had known at the time to ask.
You know, this is what Salute is all about. You know, and I've done over 400 episodes, and I've interviewed people from the 1936 Olympics that went on to serve over there, and they were at the bridge of the River Kwai, bombardiers, frogmen who later became SEALs. I have a good rapport with people. My uncle was awarded Distinguished Cross for Heroism on D-Day, and I find a lot of veterans will talk to veterans, but a lot of times they won't talk to anybody else about their experiences. But you're right, and that's what we try to capture here in Central Florida Salute. We want to honor, sacrifice, remember, and educate our young children. You know, I mean, that's what it's all about, and I applaud you for doing that and working with Keith, because Keith does a great job, you know, talking about the local heroes. Yeah. You know, and we need to keep it going. Yeah. Because they don't teach it at school. No, I've gotten several of the people he's written articles about in the last year or so, are people I have met actually at a local gym. One's a retired Navy pilot, one's a retired Air Force pilot in Vietnam. Just, you know, they were both featured in his article. Yeah, you wouldn't know. And I got some more coming in that I hope I can get in there for. Well, do you ever think about going around talking to the school systems or anything? I never thought about it. I took a bunch of Vietnam veterans and went up to Eustis High School, and we talked about the wall, the traveling wall. Oh my gosh, yes. And we told them, you see a name, we see a face, we share a memory. Absolutely. You know, and they were very receptive. Unfortunately, like I said before, the schools don't teach a lot of, you know, history in that respect. Yeah. So I've been to the wall several times in D.C. It's pretty emotional situation. Yeah, it is. It is. Lost a few of my friends. Especially because, I got a dozen of them. Yeah, I'm sure you do. Yeah. You know, but that's what I say. What we try to do here, we keep it alive. You know. Yeah. And I'm glad you came on. You know? Thank you. And my pleasure to be here. I bet a lot of people never even heard about China Beach TV series, huh? I don't know. Probably it's been 15 years since it's been on. Probably, right? I guess. I don't know. Is it still on? No, I don't think so. No, it's been 15 or 20 years since it was on, I think. Yeah. It was interesting to watch. Not totally realistic, I don't think, but some of it was. Well, I think it's great that you keep track of
your old high school buddies and what's going on, you know, in their service and everything. I don't know, man. Actually, I had one good friend who he was a Vietnam veteran, was a medic. He died. He had some problems, and but I don't know any of my classmates really, because I was quiet in school.
Right.
But I know when I go to the wall, I see their names.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
But yeah. So what is Mr. O'Kelly up to nowadays?
Oh, well, I was a custom home builder for about 35 years in Lake County, and at the end of January, or end of December, I decided, well, it's probably old enough to retire, and so I decided to do that, and so that's kind of what I'm doing. I was a home builder for 35 years, and we built a couple, 300-400 homes in Lake County over the years, a lot of custom homes, and some people you may know, and some old friends of mine. It has been a pleasure to be back in the whole community, and I've been active in the community, and I've been a member of the Leesburg Historic Preservation Board for over 20 years. I got off that about a year ago, and now I'm in the Leesburg Planning and Zoning Commission. So we've been involved with the downtown projects over the years with the Leesburg Partnership. I've been a member of the partnership and board member for many years there. So we have a lot of things coming up in Leesburg that are going to be exciting. And so I've been involved in the downtown area is where my office is located. I'm in a building that was built in 1917. We restored it. We used to own 2 or 3 other buildings downtown, which have since been sold.
Whereabouts downtown?
Well, my building that I'm still in, I still have an office there, even though I don't do construction. I have some other activities that I do, is on 7th Street, about a block off of Main, going north towards Veterans Park. Then we used to own the building where Bloom's restaurant is. Do y'all know Bloom's?
Yeah.
That was, in the old days, that was Eddie's grocery store. My partner Victoria Murphy and I bought that about 20 years ago and restored that and leased it out for several restaurants over the years, and sold it to the Blooms about 5 years ago. Then Victoria just sold her building on 7th Street, which was Victoria's Antique Warehouse, which was built in 1926, and it used to be where the Leesburg Commercial was back in the 50s when I toured it from Lee Elementary. But before that, in 1926, it was a Dodge car dealership. So it's been sold, and supposedly there will be a distillery, quote, or brewery bar there. And my office is still there, it's next door, so that's pretty convenient. So,
You know, I was talking to you on the phone, and you were mentioning a lot of the people that you knew that served in the military. And we used to have one good friend, a mutual friend, Mr. Bill Cumba.
Bill Cumba, wow, what a patriot he is. Yes, indeed. Yeah.
You can find his show on Central Florida Salute.
I'm going to look that one up when you told me that. I didn't get a chance. I saw the one on Captain Jerry Sexsmith, and that was actually on the phone to him a minute ago. Yeah, Bill Cumba was a gentleman, and actually he and I did some business together over the years in real estate, and I had bought some property that he had developed out at Silver Lake area, some lots, and built homes, and he worked with me on how to pay them off, and he was a gentleman, and
he was a real
known guy. Yeah,
United States Marine, a real.
Yeah, absolutely.
3 Purple Hearts. I want to give him a 4th one. He said, "Nah, I wasn't wounded enough." That was Bill.
Yeah,
an amazing man.
You know, he used to jog until he was in his 70s or 80s.
And Bill Cumba he ran the movie theaters and stuff. He was quite the man.
Absolutely,
like a dear friend of mine.
Good. And I'm glad you got a chance to know him.
Oh, what an honor it was. What an honor it was, you know. But don't you find that in retirement you're just as busy, if not busier?
I'm staying pretty busy.
Doing this is keeping me
I've
busy.
heard people say that when they retire, they stay busy, and I said, well, how do you do that? And then now I'm retired, and I said, well, okay, I'm mostly busy, but then there's those times when I don't have to be anywhere, so that's kind of nice too. So
yeah,
I'm enjoying the home, and I live in the house my parents. I live in the house my parents built, in the house I grew up in.
Wow,
over on Lakeshore Drive in Leesburg. So it's been a pleasure to be there, and I'm lucky to be there. So, and my brother's moved back to the area. He served in the Coast Guard, and he's been here for years as well as a stockbroker.
Wow, he's served in the Coast Guard, but we get him on Central Florida. So
Yeah.
I don't get too many Coast Guard people on my show.
He's a coastie. Yeah.
So, well, I do appreciate you coming here. What if you were talking to the young people about going in the military, what would you tell them? You recommend it?
I do. I'm sure it's different today than it was 50 years ago. It's probably, for me, one of the greatest, most memorable things I've done in my life. And I think it's given me more pride than probably most anything I've done in my life, to have been a part of the military and being in Vietnam and having that opportunity. I volunteered to go along with a friend of mine in California. We went over at the same time, and I don't have any regrets whatsoever. And what I do regret is the fact that so many of our men and women did come home. And I think about them just about every time I talk about it.
Yeah, I think
all of us, our era, our Vietnam veterans, we're all the same way in that respect, Like I told you, I got a dozen guys that I went to school with around that wall. And, for the grace of God, I'm not on there. Because I was supposed to be on an airplane coming home. And they bumped me off because some guy had a medical emergency. And the plane went down in Wake Island, and 13 guys got killed. One of them was my sergeant. So, God works in mysterious ways, but we need to always remember, honor their service and sacrifice. So, and I want to thank you for what you did, trying to make things a little better for our troops over there when they were over there, And
it's not the same thing as being a combat veteran, and I want to make it clear that I was not in combat, but I was happy that we could at least make those men and women have some few moments of enjoyment, and that was our goal.
And we're going to wrap up over here. I got one guy over here I want you to meet. You talk about a combat veteran.
Okay.
And the family over there, too.
Perfect.
But anyway, I think we're about done, and
thank you.
I want to thank you for coming
Yes, sir.
on.
I appreciate you inviting me.
Well,
It's been a pleasure.
it's an honor to have our fellow veterans on. But you haven't seen any of my shows, or have you?
I have. When you called me, I clicked on 2 or 3 of them. I saw Captain Sexsmith and another gentleman, I forgot his name. And I'm going to look at some more, though.
I hope so, and spread the word.
Okay. All right.
Everybody's got to hit like and share.
Yeah,
It doesn't cost you nothing.
I wasn't aware of it. I'm glad that you.
Well, I think we are one of the best kept little secrets, around here. But once again, I want to thank you for coming on. And since you saw a couple of them, then you know how we're going to end this, right?
I don't remember.
Oh. Okay.
Is it a salute?
Yes, sir.
Had
Watch this. Ready?
Yes.
To all our veterans out there, our active military and their families, we salute you. For all you do. And somebody's knocking. Till next time.
Since 2009, Project SOS has assisted our veterans both overseas and here at home to overcome medical issues, homelessness, and disabilities. Initially, our efforts resulted in over 22 clinics opened in Iraq and Afghanistan. Recently, as troops have been withdrawn, we have concentrated on issues here at home. During this past year, we have been able to distribute 42 motorized wheelchairs and numerous mobility devices to our local veterans who have served in World War II and up to and including Afghanistan. We continue to offer solutions to our local homeless veterans in the Ocala National Forest and other Central Florida locations. Project SOS Support Our Soldiers needs your assistance to continue helping a growing homeless veterans population. Over-the-counter medications and personal hygiene supplies are acutely needed. Your financial aid will greatly increase the support they so desperately need.